I didn't grow up thinking I'd be a millionaire. I grew up just hoping, honestly, we keep the lights on. And then, before I knew it, life hit me harder than I ever expected. I lost my mom, my job, and my home all within a matter of 2.5 weeks. I ended up sleeping in a utility room next to a furnace and a water heater with my wife and my 2-year-old son depending on me. I was broke, I was broken, and being honest, I felt like I had nothing left. But here's what's crazy. 9 months later, I closed 46 deals worth $8 million in volume from real estate. I bought my first investment property, and 2 years after that, I owned multiple businesses that were generating 7 figures annually. So you might be asking, what changed? Well, I'll tell you, it wasn't luck. It wasn't the connections. It wasn't even that I was hard. It wasn't even, so you might be asking, what changed? Well, I'll tell you, it wasn't luck. It wasn't even the connections. It wasn't that I was outworking everyone, which I was doing all of those things. It was my mindset. I had to literally reprogram and brainwash myself to think, act, and become someone completely different than who I was raised to be. And that's exactly what I'm going to show you today. If you're somebody who you're struggling with reprogramming your mindset, this video is going to share with you how I did it and how I reprogrammed my mindset for success. Now, let me take you back to that moment when everything fell apart for me. My mom, she was my best friend. She was my number one cheerleader because I was an only child. I never had much, but she gave me everything that she could, and most importantly, she gave me the love. So when the doctor said that she had cancer, it felt unreal. She had just turned 50 when I lost her. She looked healthy. We had just moved her to Omaha so she could be closer to us, and she had never got to spend even one day in Omaha. She looked healthy, and she had just moved to Omaha to be closer to us. She never even got to spend one day in her new place before she ended up going to the hospital. 1 week later, she was gone. Now, I was drowning in grief when my manager gave me that call saying that I needed to go back to Rochester, New York. See, I was working for a big payroll company at the time, and they needed me to fly out to finish some training. I went back to work trying to hold it together, but when they told me, if you can't go back to complete your training, we can't keep you on the payroll. I knew at that moment my mom had just died. I just needed to be with my family. I remember saying, my grandma, my son, my wife, they need me here. So I chose my family, and they let me go. And then it was the final blow, which we were in the process of buying our first house. But because I had lost my job, the lender pulled my loan approval 2 days before closing. And I lost the house. But because I had just lost my job, the lender pulled my loan 2 days before closing. I lost the house, lost the deposit, and I had nowhere to go. So there I was, no mom, no job, no home. I had a wife and a son looking at me like, what's now? And my first thought, you know what it was? This isn't fair. But my second thought, it changed everything. And that's fair doesn't matter. What matters is how I respond and what I do next. See, I realized something powerful in that moment. Every thought that I had was based on the programming I had received my whole life. Life is hard. Money doesn't grow on trees. People like us don't get ahead. You need connections to succeed. That programming was the virus in my brain, ensuring that I would never break out of the cycle. So I decided I was going to create new programming. I call it intentional brainwashing, and it has 3 parts. First, I had to become ruthlessly honest about where I was in life. I was sleeping on a mattress in a utility room with $500 to my name and a real estate license that I had no idea how to use. Second, I had to reject everyone else's expectation of what was possible for me and my family. When I told people I was going all in on real estate with no experience, no network, no money, they thought I was crazy. Maybe I was, but being crazy meant that I had. And honestly, maybe I was, but I'll tell you what, being crazy beats being broke any day. Just like Kanye says, having money's not everything, but not having it is. Third, and this is the part that nobody talks about, I had to rewire my daily thoughts. Edit. Third, and this is the part that no one talks about, I had to rewire my daily thoughts. Most people think motivation is the key. Well, it's not. Most people think hard work is the answer. It's not. It's not enough. What matters is your default programming, the thoughts that run in the background of your mind in your subconscious when you're not paying attention. I developed what I now call the dream programming system. It's how I went from broke to building wealth, and it's what I teach all of my dream accelerated clients. Every morning and night, I'd look in the mirror and ask myself one question: who would I be if I wasn't afraid? Not who would I want to be. Edit. Not who I wanted to be. Not who I should be. Who would I be if fear wasn't holding me back? The answer was clear. I'd be someone who took massive action. Someone who believed in abundance and not scarcity. Every time a limiting thought came up, you can't afford this, you don't know enough, I'd immediately interrupt it by saying, that's old programming. Now, here's what I know instead. Your brain needs proof to believe new programming. So I created a system to manufacture the evidence. I set a goal of talking to 20 people every single day about real estate. Not to sell them, just to have conversations. I just knew that I needed the at-bats, I needed the repetitions. But I just knew that I needed the at-bats and I needed the repetitions. But it wasn't all easy. I'll tell you, day 1, 20 people, no clients. Day 2, 20 people, no clients. Day 3, 20 people, no clients. Day 4, 20 people, no clients. I was getting super frustrated. I remember everything that I did, it felt like it didn't work until it did. Until there was one day that I had an open house and I wound up getting dream clients that came through. Shout out to Kurt and Megan if you guys ever see this. And they were a younger couple, but what I didn't do was judge a book by its cover. They wound up buying the first house, their first house that they bought. They bought it with me and it was my first deal. And that deal was for $410,000. That gave me a commission check of over $12,000. And I could not be more excited and grateful. That was the Kickstarter. That was where my momentum shifted. And I knew that anything was possible because I was on my last limb. See, success isn't all about motivation. It's more about momentum. I created a success wall where I tracked every win, no matter how small. My first client, posted. My first closing, posted. My first 5-figure month, posted. Every day I'd look at the wall and I'd tell myself, this is who you are now. A person who wins no matter what. The more I saw it, the more I believed it. And you know what? The more I saw it, the more I believed it. The more I believed it, the more I acted like it. The more I acted like it, the more results that I created. That's how I closed 46 deals in 9 months with no prior experience. That's how I went from sleeping in the utility room to building multiple 7-figure businesses as well as my dream home. That's how I brainwashed myself to success. Today, my life looks completely different. I own a 7-figure childcare center that we originally started and we took it from 0 to 70 kids in just 9 months. I run a digital marketing agency that serves clients across the world. I have a SaaS company that we've already been able to get to $10,000 a month in less than 6 months. And I own multiple YouTube channels, including a faceless brand that makes almost 5 figures, but more importantly, it makes money while I sleep. But I'll tell you, but here's what matters more than any of the money, any of the assets, any of the more tangible things. I'm present for my family. I'm a partner to my wife, and I'm not just a provider. I'm building generational wealth that will outlive me. And I've helped hundreds of entrepreneurs do the same thing with this system. I've helped them grow their business, build their mindset, and scale to a life by their design. Now, look, I'm not special. I didn't have many connections when I first started. I didn't inherit any wealth. I didn't even have a safety net. What I had was the willingness to question everything that I've been programmed to believe and the courage to install new beliefs instead. And that's the same thing that you can do. Now, you might be thinking, that's great, Casanova, but what about me? Well, let me ask you something. What programming is running in your mind right now? Is it serving you or is it sabotaging you? If you're not where you want to be in life, whether it's financially or if it's in a relationship or maybe you're just not having the impact that you know that you should, I'll tell you, it's not because you're not capable. It's because your current program is limiting what you believe is possible. But you know what? The good news is you can change that. I've created a diagnostic tool called the Dream Score Quiz, and that will I've created this really cool tool that I call the Dream Score, and that will show you exactly where your current programming is and what's holding you back. It only takes 60 seconds, but it will reveal the special blocks that are keeping you from the success that you deserve. Just click the link in the description below. Once you complete the quiz, you'll get a personalized roadmap that'll help you break through the blocks and start creating the evidence your brain needs to believe in your success. So let me leave you with this truth. Your past doesn't define your future unless you let the programming from your past control your present. The story you tell yourself about who you are and what's possible is more powerful than any circumstance that you're facing. I went from a hospital room to a utility room to a boardroom in less than 3 years. Not because I'm special, but because I refuse to let my old programming determine my new reality. Now you can do the same thing. Take the Dream Score quiz, rewrite your programming, and let's do it together. Now you can do the same thing. Take the Dream Score quiz, see where you're stuck, and let's rewrite your programming together. Remember, in the dream we trust, but we gotta take action on something. Otherwise, that dream that you have, and we all have a dream, without action, it'll only merely be a fantasy. That's all for this one. Stay tuned for the next one. If you got any value out of this, hit that like button, subscribe, and drop a comment below and let us know, where are you stuck? We want to build this thing together.